Hi, I'm Richard, or you'll know me as Aussie from UKBF. We've got here our first interview for Disability Pride Month, where my colleague Jacob's going to be talking to Tony Byng, who's somebody I've known for a few years. And I've always been in awe of how he's managed to build up his own business and run it despite health challenges that he's had. I won't say any more, I'll hand over to Jacob now, who'll be talking to Tony. There you go.
Hi, Tony. It was nice to finally meet you today. Can you just tell me a bit about yourself, who you are and what you do?
Yeah, certainly. My name's Tony Byng. I run a business called Mabunti Limited. I'll explain later why it's called Mabunti Limited. I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease when I was 9 years old. I had a fairly rotten childhood between the ages of sort of 9 and 19. I decided fairly early on that I wanted to run my own business when I got up and running and was able to do things. The company was formed when I was about 23, and I started working in it properly when I was about 27-ish, I think. Up until then, it was part-time work. My Crohn's has left me with very little bowel, and with plenty of trips up to the hospital over the years with multiple surgeries. I consider myself lucky to be alive on a number of occasions. I nearly died when I was 14 of septicemia following surgery. I nearly died when I was 19 following a lack of magnesium in my body, and I nearly died when I was 25 for the same reason. I have various bits of plastic attached to me, and that has kept me going for the last 25 plus years, for which I am eternally grateful for the NHS.
How did, in the early stages of running your business and just kind of pushing into your adult life, how did the Crohn's affect your working life and your personal life?
The majority of my active Crohn's and my illness happened during my school days. So I missed. I had homeschooling for a couple of years, but when I went back to school, I effectively went back to the previous year. So I had to effectively resit a year. And most of my sort of like active Crohn's in terms of the actual disease had... or my last sort of major surgery was when I was 19, and it was sort of 23 when I sort of started the business. But I have had, I disappear up to the hospital on a monthly basis for either tests, scans, blood tests, infusions, whatever. And it's, the customers don't know, they probably do now, but the customers don't know that, when I disappear off for an afternoon and it's not me that's answering the phone, it's somebody else that's answering the phone, that I've disappeared off for a couple of hours, and then, I'm back and I carry on. I don't let my illness get in the way of my business. When I've been in hospital, the laptop goes in with me, and other than the fact that it's harder to accept phone calls when you're in a hospital ward, it's I can do my development work just as easily in hospital as I can in the office. And there have been times when I've literally been sat on my hospital bed, programming, talking to people on, the likes of Slack or Teams or whatever, and and then I will disappear off immediately because the porter comes up to say that they're ready for a scan or something. So I've never let my illness get in the way of running the business. The business is now 27 years old, and I know I couldn't run. I couldn't work for another company because if I do feel a bit dodgy on a particular day, I can lie down for a couple of hours and not have anybody saying, why are you lying down for a couple of hours? But the last sort of like proper job that I had, I would often get into work at, even though I was a developer, I'd get into work and they'd suddenly say that something had happened down in Southampton and could I go and look at sorting it out. So you'd get into the office at 8 o'clock in the morning, and then suddenly say you're down at Southampton. And one of the things that I've had to do because of my magnesium deficiency, because so much of my bowel has been removed, I don't absorb magnesium, and so I plug myself into a drip at home every other day. It runs for 4 or 5 hours, so it normally runs overnight, but I was and I've been doing that for 25 years, and when I tell people that that's what I do, they are absolutely amazed that I'm still running a business when I spend half my time sort of plugged into a drip, but that's one of the other benefits of working for yourself. You can, I don't have a drip stand. The pump and things all go into a rucksack. So, but it means that when I was working for another company, I would suddenly find that I'd be getting back at like 10, 11 o'clock of an evening, and you then don't want to be taking the bag of magnesium out the fridge and then waiting a couple of hours for it to warm up and then sort of plugging in and everything. So it was then that I decided that that's probably the time that I need to start working for myself, sort of full time, effectively. So yeah, that's that.
Wow. And for anybody, for anyone who may have a level of disability, whether it's physical or whether it's another aspect of disability, a young person who may be in school, who may be trying to find their feet in life, as somebody who I call you a champion, Tony, because that story is powerful. As someone who has lived a chunk of their life through their 20s, 27 years later, still running a successful business, what advice can you give to a young person or anybody who is maybe facing some challenges and which is not allowing them to see past that challenge?
When I was 16, that was probably the biggest disruption in my life. I had multiple surgeries over the course of a couple of years. I had great big holes in my belly with drains and things in, and I couldn't see what was the point in going forwards. Somebody said to me at the time, a couple of years' time you'll get over this, regardless of what the problem is. You'll get over it, and you might face other challenges, but you will get past the problem that you've currently got. A couple of years later, I had got over that issue, and if you have a desire to do something, that desire actually helps your illness. I've been a programmer since I was, in fact, actually, when I was 16, the ward that I was on said that they needed a research system to catalogue the patients and try and find out any sort of similarities between them. And they came to me and effectively said, I know you're a programmer, because I've been programming since I was like 14, like at home, and I know you're a programmer, I know you do database work, is there any chance you could write a system for us? So one of the times when I was in hospital for 3-4 months, I effectively said, I'm more than happy to do this for you for free, because you've saved my life, you know, however many times. All I need is the software license for the development system that I was using at the time, and so they bought that, and I wrote the system when I was 16, and then wrote another one for them a couple of years later, again with no payment involved. And but if you've got a desire to do something, whether it be programming, whether it be whatever it is that you want to do, if you concentrate on doing that, it can help, certainly for me anyway, it can help block out the thoughts of the illness. So when I sit in front of a computer and I'm pondering what the problem is that I'm trying to sort out, I'm concentrating on that problem, and I'm not concentrating on the pain that I'm in, or the I mean, obviously you have situations where the pain is unbearable and you can't work, but for the times when it's like a lower level, concentrating on what you're doing takes your mind off the illness, and it means that you can get through a day, maybe taking a few less painkillers, because you're sort of concentrating on things. So if you've got the will and the desire to do something, then don't let your health stand in your way.
That is powerful. That is really, really powerful. You know what, Tony? I literally see you as a champion. You know, like I said, we see the likes of Stephen Hawkins, who is world renowned. Like I mentioned to you before, Ellie Simmons, who gives a lot of females, a lot of young, not just females, but a lot of not just young females with disabilities, but females in general, to overcome any mental hurdles that they may have. And like I said, Stevie Wonder, all these global icons and superstars who have gone on to do great things. But the likes of yourself, who have really touching stories, the fact that you said you were younger, the hospital saw that you were a programmer, and they came to, because of your passion, your drive for what you did, they came to inquire and ask, can you build something for us? And your humility to say, you don't even have to pay me because you saved my life. That is, you're a champion, Tony. And I really want you to know that. I'm telling you, Tony, you're a champion. You're a champion, and we really appreciate people like you. And I know that whoever may watch this should be touched and will be touched by what you said, and just to focus on where you want to go, focus on what you want to do, whether it's like I said, business, whether they may be in school, whether they're going through family issues, whether they're going through mental issues, whether they have a level of disability. Just focus on where you want to be, and it will help. It does help. So just quickly, why the name of your business?
when I formed the company 27 years ago, it had a different name. It then actually changed its name again about 10 or 12 years later. But when it changed its name, to the second name, it was a fairly generic name. So if you do a search online, and you would not only find us, you'd find hundreds of other pages that related to things that weren't anything to do with us. But Mabunti is a made-up word. So if you do a search for Mabunti on Google, then you're only going to find pages that relate to us. So the name was chosen because it was it was effectively a short name. It didn't take long to say, and it didn't take long to type in. And when I actually, even though it was a made-up name, I realised afterwards that I could make it say making opportunities for business using new technologies and the internet. So even though that wasn't the reason that it was given that name, it was given it because if you did a search for Mabunti before then, you wouldn't find anything online. So I chose the name so that because we obviously being a programmer, the business that I run is very technically oriented. It's I do development work for a select group of customers, but we also do things like forming limited companies for accountants and providing and the main part of the business is providing new company details to people who are looking for marketing. So if you are like an accountant, for example, and you want to target within a 10-15 mile radius of your office for new businesses, then we basically hook up with Companies House and provide filtering facilities. So we've got what we believe is the best filtering facilities available online to uniquely target the companies that accountants want to write to, for example. And I've been able to develop that because of my passion for being a programmer and looking at data and saying, there's some data, what can I do with it in order to provide a use for a customer. So things like that have actually helped in my health as well, because if I've not been well for a period of time, I know that there is money coming in every month because I don't need to be in front of a computer in order for somebody to go to the website and purchase some data. So if I'm ill, I might be off my feet and not be able to do much. If I'm well, I'm sat there doing things like this newly formed companies system that allows me to, as I say, bring money in even when I'm ill.
Yeah, that sounds. I like the thinking behind that. A made up word that if anybody searches it, it's always going to go back to you.
Yeah,
that is great. Well, Tony, it's been great speaking to you this morning, and like I said, I know that your story and just bits of what you shared anyway should definitely inspire, especially a newer generation of people who want to get into business, or anybody that may be going through stuff. You know, it will definitely just give them the push that it's given me, even just to keep focused and just have think about the upsides of stuff. You know, so I really appreciate you answering those questions, and yeah. Thank you.
I'm glad to have given the insight into what's happened over the last 40 years, because I was diagnosed when I was 9, so I'm now 50. So there's always light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.